Hello everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to have some fun today because I am fulfilling a year-long dream of playing with pour paint. So I got this sent to me from Arteza, and this is a 32 pouring acrylic color set. So we are going to go through how to do this from a extreme amateur's perspective. Is that a title? Can I use that title? Because I am just that. I have never done this before. In fact, I'm going to keep in a fail so that you could not do what I did and save yourself a canvas. But here are all the colors. You have regular colors, metallics, neons, just so pretty. And there's 4 whites and 2 blacks that come with it because white is used as a mixative pretty much. That's the best way to describe it. So Adi and I are going to have some fun here, and we are going to play with this paint, and we are going to just add color on top of color. So we've chosen blue, purple, and pink for our first go. And then of course some white. So we did, at first we started white color, then we went 2 colors white, 2 colors white, and realized that we needed more paint. So this is not enough paint this first go round. Again, very first time I'm ever doing this is being caught on videotape. So we're going to flip it over and we're just going to let it go. This is one way to do this technique, is to flip it over all at once and let it work itself out. Now, had I added more white, I would have gotten a lot more movement and a lot more paint to cover the canvas. This is definitely looking really cool, right? Like, this is the way it looks is awesome. Well, one thing I learned later on in our adventure was that you can add more paint to your palette even if you've already poured it. So I could have just poured more paint on top of this and kept moving it. But I didn't know that at this time. I thought that would ruin the project. So instead, I decided to really ruin the project. So I took a palette, and me and Adi were kind of looking at each other like, how do we get this paint to cover all over this canvas? Well, let's just use a palette knife. No, don't do this, please, unless this is the look you're going for. So moving on, let's try this again. Okay, we are going to add a little bit more paint this time. This time we've gotten a little bit more clever and said we need more. Still wasn't enough, but we were able to salvage that. We're going through and we are taking turns pouring in the paint. I think the most cumbersome part of this entire thing was taking off the little plastic pieces from the paint, because that took a long time. But once you got everything removed, you're good to go. Look at these colors. So we added a lot more white. We put in this really soft, almost like a sky aqua blue, and the purple and the pink. So if you follow the channel, you'll know that these are remnant of friendship colors that I've talked about in the past. That's just Adia's favorite colors for her and her friends. So I'm trying to move this all the way around, and I see that it needs to go in certain spots, so then I tap it on the desk. Now I'm using a Tonic glass mat for this, which was super easy for cleanup. And you want to place off to the side some place where you can lay these paintings. So we used a, look at that finished. I have to stop myself. Look at that. Thumbs up. Amazing. So much fun. I did nothing but pour the paint on there. So, card makers unite. I have all of this mess on my glass mat. What do you think I'm going to do with it? Yep. I'm going to place some watercolor cardstock straight down into it and see what I get. So the first one was splotchy, but this one got full coverage. And when it dries, there's like this veiny texture on it because it's acrylic paint. So way cool. More to come on that. All right, we're moving on into black and neon. Now this was an interesting experiment. So we used neon colors and black as the quote white that we used previously. So the black was going to be kind of like our move around color. I think I put a little bit too much black, but look at how cool that looks right there in the cup. So we're just going to pour it. Now, Adia wanted to do sort of like a tree ring thing that we saw on YouTube. And so I'm doing that, and I'm kind of just moving it around very slowly into a circle pattern. And you can see how cool that looks on the what's it called, canvas. So now I'm going to do some more, and I'm going to do the same exact technique, just right in the middle and adding paint because I didn't think we had enough. And here we go. Look at that. That is so cool. So moving it around is even cooler. So when I used to watch this, like I've been watching pour paints for about 1.5 years now on YouTube. And every time I watch it, I'm like, I so badly want to do that. But I never think it's going to be as easy as it looks on YouTube. And I am your testimony. It is as easy as it looks. If you don't do what I did in the very first one. And you learn as you go, just like with any technique, you learn as you go. So here I realized as this is moving that we might have put a little bit too much black in it. Although this is way cool looking, it dries back quite a bit. So I'll show you what they look like dried at the end of the video. But it does dry back quite a bit. And so that was a little bit unfortunate. But, you know, I think next time just less black. This one I'm going to use as a galaxy background as I'm picking this up with my watercolor cardstock because I have a little bit of that peak of color in the back. My husband said, hey, add white and then pick it up. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And I did, and look how cool this is. I am loving this background. This is so neat. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do with that one as well. The creative juices are flowing here. Okay, let's do another one. So I skipped the adding to the cup portion, and we are just going to add a bunch of white and metallic colors. Now, what I've learned is when you mix it in the cup first and then pour it, you're going to get a lot more of that marbly look. But if you add it directly like I'm doing here to the palette or the canvas, you're going to get more of a separated look. So watch as I pour this around. You'll see that the outsides get the marble look and the inside gets a solid image look, which is actually really cool. So I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't really know what to expect, but I really loved how this came out. So Adia and my friend Jen saw this and said it looks like an egg. And I was like, yeah, it totally does. So we're going to slap a silver eat, the word eat on it, and frame it and put it somewhere in the kitchen. So I thought that one was really cool. You can kind of see all that marbly on the side. And then of course I had to use my watercolor cardstock and pick this up. Again, a really like textured, almost embossed look when these card panels dry. So it's just really neat to get at least something of that extra paint there. Okay, so those that is the demo. Let's take a look at some of the finished and dried products. All right, so here are the close-ups. This is the first one with the lighter colors, the more pastel kind of look. Really pleased with the way this one came out, and I think it's because it lends to sort of all the things I was seeing online and hoping for, so it's quite satisfying. Also, it was Adia's favorite, of course. All right, the next one, some close-ups of the metallic marbled one. And these are all dried now, so we can see what that looks like dried. It's not as shiny as it is when you're doing it, which I think if you can find some sort of a lacquer that's would be okay and kind of not ruin your project after it's dried, maybe that will add back that shine. This one, like I said, dried back quite a bit. But that was my husband's favorite, so I thought that was kind of cool. All right, let's look at the cards. So I made some shaker cards. I was having some good fun with that. So I made 2 shaker cards with the panels for the paints. They got the pink one here and the metallic one. And I thought that was just really kind of brought it all together. It's hard to see it in the background based on these pictures, but they're definitely there, and they're definitely a highlight of this card. So I just made a couple thank you cards, and then I had to do galaxy backgrounds. You know, that's just the way it has to be. So all I did for those backgrounds is add some white gouache paint and splattered it all over the background, and that was it. I didn't add anything else to these 2 cards. So I made one a birthday and one a hooray, basically any hooray reason. And again, this was definitely a favorite of mine, this one right here. Just so cool. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and coming along my pour painting journey. Hopefully it was helpful to you to see someone who's never done this before, and maybe you won't feel so intimidated by it. I'll link the products below if you're interested in checking that out. Here's a couple extra videos on the screen. It's for some other products that you might be interested in, or just having some good fun along with me. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.